Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar presented by the Servant Leadership Institute in Carlsbad, California. We hope to serve you today through our discussion of servant leadership behavior, add value to others. I'm Carol Malinski, Manager of Products and Services at SLI, and I'll be hosting today's conversation. We're excited to have our founder and CEO, Art Barter, back with us this month, now fully recovered from his bout with the flu. SLI is a leadership development organization dedicated to teaching the implementation of servant leadership. We believe servant leadership is to inspire and equip the people we influence. Servant leadership takes that traditional power model of leadership and turns it upside down. In order to fully benefit from today's discussion, we will include an opportunity for you to ask questions toward the end of our time today. Here's how you can submit your questions. As you see on the right-hand side of your screen, there is an area to type in questions. Feel free to ask them anytime during the webinar. We will get to as many questions as possible during the Q&A segment at the end of the session. The Institute teaches that to transform and sustain a servant-led culture, there are 9 behaviors that are key. At our last webinar, we discussed the behavior of think about your thinking. This session, we're going to have a conversation around the behavior, add value to others. Art, welcome. We're glad to have you back.
Great to be back. Great to be with everyone today. Thank you for taking your time to join us today. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, it's great to be seen.
Yeah,
I'm feeling great. So,
we're going to add some value to folks this morning. Art, how would you describe a leader who consistently adds value to the organization?
You know, the leader who consistently adds the value, you know, has to know something more than just a name of its folks, the team in the organization. It requires leaders to listen and empathize with others they influence, those around them, helping others get better in both their individual and teamwork. So, you know, we just can't focus on the team. We also have to focus on the individual. So you can add value to the individual, you can add value to the team, and you've got to be aware of both of those needs. And it requires the leader to have a mindset of thinking about others, not about themselves, but about others. As we say at SLI, our behavior should always be focused on the sake of others and away from us. It's important that leaders stay consistent in this area, and you had a great word. How can they consistently? And it isn't that you have to have the same emotions about everything, but you have to be consistent on how you react to things, consistent about how you invest your time and add value to people. And so that's really, really important as well.
Yeah, and it seems to me that that's something that can be not only for the person who is leading the team, but as individual contributors, if we also have that attitude of, you know, consistently adding value individually, but also as part of the team.
Right,
so
because
it works, you know, both ways.
You want to have a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
And a win for the individual, a win for the organization and the team. And you know, I'll go back to the consistency. If you have too much variation on 1 week you're investing and the next 3 weeks you're not,
yeah.
Your credibility is going to be impacted.
Uh-huh.
And so you have to do that consistently. And sometimes it's tough. In today's environment, things are moving so fast, and challenges come before you every day as a leader, and it really, really takes a focus to make sure that, hey, I'm going to go add value. And for me, when I walk through that door in our building, that door represents a gate for me where I think about who do I want to add a value to that day. It's a conscious thought for me when I walk through that door.
Right.
I always think about adding value to others when I walk through that door.
Yeah, great. That's actually a great way to remember that behavior.
It is, because
Put that symbol with it.
It's a door I walk through every day, and so you know I hold myself accountable that I want to add value to people.
Yeah, that's great. Why is it so important then for a servant leader to practice this behavior?
You know, as a servant leader, we want to inspire and equip those we influence, and we all influence a lot of people. And again, I want to emphasize this isn't just about the people who report to you, because as leaders we're watched by everyone, not just the people that report to us. The best way to influence others is to provide help and assistance on a consistent basis. And once someone knows how much you care about them, they will respond in ways that will just amaze you as a leader. But they have to really feel that you care about them, and it has to come from the heart. Leaders can set high goals. They can set what we call audacious targets, and they can demand the best of others. If we do this as leaders, we need to be willing to invest time in others to help them get that success in real terms. And so a lot of times we talk about helping people understand the business that you're in. Why do you build that product, or why do you build it this certain way? Why do you serve customers in this marketplace? For us in the radio business, we're an international company. We have 80 countries around the world that we serve. Mm-hmm. Every country is different. Every culture is a little bit different. And we have to be sensitive. If we're going to add value to that culture, we have to understand more than just, hey, I have a relationship, I want to say hi to people. It takes some effort on the leader to invest to find out about that culture.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
And I know as an individual contributor, I've been kind of both sides of the fence, middle management and an individual contributor. Knowing that I have a leader who is, consistently does want to help me to do better, there's a huge weight off your shoulders as an employee when you have a leader like that, where I can walk through your door and say, hey, I've got myself in trouble here, and I need your help, at this moment.
Exactly. And we talk about audacious goals and setting targets. You can do that as a leader as long as you invest to help people. And helping them to succeed also means meeting them where they are when they're having those challenges, right? Yeah, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Hey, Art, I messed up. I need to get back on track here. Help me get back on track.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially since we're usually the ones who beat ourselves up the hardest. So to have that leader who is willing to, take the emotion out of it and really truly help.
Right.
Not necessarily solve it, but help along with that process adds huge value to me as an individual contributor.
It does, and at times some of the best things we can do to add value to people is just to listen. Mm. Just be quiet and listen, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, not to solve the problem, but just listen.
Yeah. And
give people a chance to just get things out, their emotions, and a lot of times people feel better just being able to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which kind of leads into my next question for you, which is, what are some ways that a servant leader can add value to the organization, perhaps beyond his or her job description?
The best way to really help people feel good about what they do is to help them use the knowledge that they have. Everyone has knowledge inside of them, and I think today our jobs as leaders is to how do we put that knowledge to use for the organization. Mm-hmm. And once you do that in the organization, it really helps the individual. Most of the time it requires us to listen and then provide support to help others achieve their goals. And I can't strive the listening side part enough. Don't wait for the big win to say thank you. Tell people thank you along the way with the little ones. Celebrate those small wins. Communicate with everyone on a regular basis, sharing information, being truthful with others. This is tough for leaders because this is adding value when you're honest with where you are in the business, the struggles that you may be going through at the time, or the successes you're having. Mm-hmm. It's easy for leaders to share and add value when everything's going great. You're meeting your plans. Right. But when you're struggling, it's very difficult to share that information and feel comfortable about sharing that information. But that's how you add value to people, is you share where you are and you're honest with people. And you don't try and spin a story or put a little extra stuff on it. We have to be positive. Leaders always have to be positive about what's going on. But they can be truthful about where they are as a company as well. Letting them know that we're human. We are human, and we're going to struggle. Yeah. I always like to talk about investing in others' education. We have an education reimbursement program. We just created scholarships at a local BC. Doesn't take a lot of money, but we're helping people get better and learn about things. And so we support them in that. Mentoring, coaching. The best way to add value from my perspective is to help others learn from their mistakes. really learn from their mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. Don't bring out your hammer out of your toolbox and hammer people. You bring out your heart from your toolbox and help them learn from that mistake so that when they're faced with that again, they're prepared to move forward and get past it. Not for them to fear that, oh man, last time I made this mistake, Art really got mad and got upset. I don't want to face that again, so maybe I won't tell him I made that mistake again. Mm-hmm. You really want to create that open environment. So help them learn from their mistakes. Right. Yeah.
So this sounds to me, what I'm hearing is adding value. You know, there's adding value in your work tasks with the specifics of what you may be working on, but it's also about adding value to their lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're helping with their education, I mean, they carry that with them for the rest of their lives.
They do, and it's going to stay with them forever. You know, we use terms like emotional intelligence, mm-hmm. and really, when you care about people and you empathize with them, and you give them that positive experience of that challenging time in their life, they're going to keep that file, and it's going to stay with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They're going to keep the times where they got hammered as well, and we've seen that with people who come to our company. They react to ways that isn't what we intend, but that's the experience they brought to the table. And so we like to replace those experiences with positive things, and they're going to live with that for the rest of their life. And it's really enjoyable to see when people can create those positive experiences that they can draw on for the rest of their life.
Yeah. So one way to ensure that you add value, we've learned this through our training that you provided us at Datron actually, is to use your motivated strengths and your skills at work. Can you tell us a little bit about how we discover what those motivated strengths even are, how we know what they are?
Yeah, I'll take you through what we developed in our training program for Datron World Communications. We ask people to go back in their life, and we ask them to look at when in your life have you enjoyed yourself and felt proud of what you did. Pick those experiences from work, pick those experiences from your life, and look at what you took away from those stories. The stories are very powerful in life, and we can learn from those stories. And these are the two questions we ask people to ask themselves. What qualities did I demonstrate in those experiences? And then what skills did I use in those two experiences? And if you look at your stories over and over again in life, you're going to find some consistency. Mm-hmm. Now, you're searching for the positive consistencies, you're going to find some negative ones as well. And that's how you're going to grow and learn. You're going to want to turn those into positive experiences. These answers that you come up with, these stories and looking at these questions, will tell you what your motivated strengths are. Those are the things you want to go invest in, because that's where you're going to find your joy in life. Mm-hmm. And once your leader understands that as well, it just creates an environment where you have a blast. Yeah. You have a lot of fun. Yeah. And walking in the front door at 8 o'clock in the morning is a joy and not a drag. And that's when really things really, you know you've added value to someone when they want to come through the door. Mm-hmm. One of the CEOs I interviewed many years ago, 6, 7 years ago, he said, Art, I watched my people drive out the gate of our, I think they had a 300-acre campus. He says, you know, my job is to make sure they want to drive back in that gate in the morning. Yeah. Right? And he's adding value, because if they want to come back, he's added value to their life. And those are exciting times for a leader, when they see people want to come back. Yeah.
You know, that idea of using your motivated strengths and focusing on them, that's really, it's a little different than at least how I was brought up. Growing up, going into the business world, we were always focused on, if you have a weakness in a certain area, you should concentrate on making that, curing that problem, curing that weakness. And what I'm hearing from you is something a little different. It's a different approach.
It is different, because I think people, when they focus on their weaknesses, if you don't have the right mindset or don't have the right people around you, mm-hmm. it will put you in a negative mindset. Mm-hmm. And that's the danger you have, because you're always focusing on the things that maybe you didn't do well enough, yeah, or you could have done better. We want you to look at, here's all the positive things in my story, and moving forward based on the positive things that come from your story. Learn from the negatives, but don't focus on them too much. Always spend your time focused on the positive things, and you'll find out what really gets you excited and the things that you really love to do.
Yeah.
And helping somebody find that, that's one of the biggest joys as a leader you have, is when the light goes on,
yeah,
and they're having fun again. You go home and go, wow, I did something special today. I just didn't do it my task list. I did something special today. Yeah.
So if you take those strengths, we identify our strengths, and if we combine them with a servant leader's mindset, it seems to me like you end up with the ideal situation.
You do, because people are going to want to pass that on.
Yeah.
They're going to want to influence and share their stories and what they learned and what they got out of it. And when you start sharing your stories, that's what impacts people the most. They like to hear the positive stories of people and where they may have come up against adversity and have succeeded and got past it.
Yeah.
They like those stories, and they love to learn from those. And that's really how you influence people, through your stories. Last year I started to think about the real measure of a servant leader is through the stories of those people you've influenced. That's really your real measure, because you don't hear any stories you've influenced. What have you done? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You haven't had any value. Yeah.
Interesting thought, for sure. Before we go any farther, I just want to encourage folks, if you have any questions, to go ahead and type them in at any time, and we'll be answering questions in a little bit here. All right, let's take a minute and talk about something that I know is near and dear to you, which is the subject of knowledge sharing as a part of adding value. Why do you think knowledge sharing is so important today?
Carol, for the first time in my lifetime, I have at least 4 generations in the workplace. 4 generations. Could be 5, but most of the time you have 4 generations in the workplace. How do you help people understand that the sharing of knowledge between those 4 generations is a responsibility we have, and that knowledge isn't security? From my corporate experience and my leadership, when I brought up, information and knowledge was something you kept to yourself because it provided a secure environment for you, right? Well, now we have 4 generations of workplace, and people are looking for purposes in their life, and they're going to come into a company for 2 to 3 years. You only have 2 or 3 years to impact that life, not 10 or 15 like it was in my generation. The electronic world we live in, the knowledge goes around this world in a second. There's so many ways to learn, but I want to encourage leaders that are listening today. Your electronic devices that your employees have, 75% of them have an electronic device in their hand. 72% will use it sometime during the day. If you want to communicate with those employees, they're holding it in their hands. Yeah. If you want to share knowledge about the company, they're holding it in their hands. And let's get past communication boards, and all-hand meetings are great, but in today's environment, knowledge needs to be shared, and it needs to be shared fast, or we're just going to fall behind in the marketplace. And so the world today is moving at such a fast pace that it's one of the biggest challenges we have, is how do we get the knowledge that all of us have in the organization into the hands of people where it makes a difference in our business? How do we share that? How do we take the extra 10 or 15 minutes to explain to someone, this is why we do this in Morocco, or this is why we do this in Indonesia, or maybe in Singapore we do it this way, or when we go to Brazil we do it a little bit different. Take a couple of extra minutes and explain to people, and take the knowledge out of your head as a leader, as you've had the experience as a leader in the company, and share that. And just that sharing of knowledge makes so much difference, because people go, now I understand why we do what we do. And the next time that happens, guess what? It gets done quicker and faster instead of having people talk about it.
Well, not only that, I think, and I've seen this, we haven't really shared this with folks before, but I worked with Art at Datron World Communications for many years before I came to SLI. And one of the delights for me was seeing when you explain to someone who's maybe putting a radio together on the factory floor, when you explain to them where that radio is going, what the situation is, then that job that could be, that many times is monotonous, doing the same repetitious kind of work, then it has some more meaning to it.
Absolutely.
They can relate to it.
Absolutely.
It's like when you ask the question, would you put that radio on your son or daughter's back? I mean, that adds meaning and purpose to what they do.
Exactly, right.
And that's very powerful for people.
And then when you hear stories from customers on how it's impacted their country. We had a customer many years ago tell us they wanted radios to help manage their election process. Several years after that event, there was an article that came out through the Associated Press about the elections in that country were the least violent in the country's history. And we sat down and shared that with everyone. We said, this is why we do what we do. We're saving lives. It's not just about selling a product. We're actually saving lives and making countries better off. Let's not lose that. It's not just about generating revenue. Let's go impact lives and make life better for people.
Right, and you're adding value to your employees and how they feel about themselves when they're a part of that equation.
When they're part of it. My last comment on knowledge, I want to encourage everyone listening today, we must share our knowledge or we will perish. You need to get that into your understanding as a leader. If you don't have people share knowledge and they just stay in their cocoon and keep it, you will perish as a company, because we have to share information. We have to keep the purpose and the values and mission alive in companies. If that artery of flow of blood gets cut off, the body's going to die. So knowledge sharing is at the top of the list here, and we really need to understand that as leaders.
So that leads me to my next question very naturally, which is, how does a servant leader get people to be comfortable with sharing the knowledge that they have? How do you get them to let go?
Leaders need to build trust with others in the organization so that you've created a safe culture that encourages sharing knowledge. And what does that mean? That means that when the knowledge has been shared, you don't sit back and say, I don't need that individual anymore, so I'm going to lay them off. There's so much knowledge in the generational workplace today that I think isn't being used. And we need to tap into that knowledge and use it, and not related to the age of individuals. There was a gentleman that talked about tribes in Africa once, and the main focus of the tribe was you need elderly people in your families, and said when people reached 50 in those tribes, they moved back in with their families because the families needed that knowledge. They need that wisdom. And that's how I feel about it. We need that wisdom and knowledge. We just can't let it, let's suck the life out of them and then let them go. So you've got to create that safe environment. You've got to create an environment where you can share the information and be positive about it and help people understand they need this information to get better. The president at a local university called the silver tsunami that is coming in the workplace. And I relate to that because my silver on my top of my head is getting there.
That couldn't be either one of us.
It couldn't be either one of us, but that's coming. And we're going to have more people that are older in the workplace that are going to be staying employed than ever before. And there's a lot of knowledge to be used there. I love the book Ken Blanchard wrote a year or so ago, encouraging people that were in that silver tsunami to refire their life. Refire it and get passionate about sharing their information and passing their information on. And I really agree with that. I love what Lou Holtz, coach of the Fighting Irish, told his graduating class last year. He told them, you know what, I've been 24 before, but you haven't been 72.
That's great.
And there's a lot of wisdom in those words.
Absolutely.
And if we can get people to understand that, you know what, I've been down this path before, I'm willing to share my knowledge about what I learned, the mistakes I made. Let me help you understand so you don't make the same mistakes, but it has to be in an environment of trust, because you have to do it in a trustful environment, create that culture. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, now it's our time to take some questions, and we have one here. And it says, I'm not sure my employees know that I care about them. Where do I start so they know I'm sincere?
We lost half the question here on our screen. There we go.
I suppose I've been too busy to make sure I'm bringing value to them.
Yeah, I think my recommendation would be spend time every day walking around, or what I encourage people to do is if you work in a building and you usually park near the front door, park in the back and walk in the back door of the building.
Yeah.
So you have to walk through the company to get your office. Say hi to people, ask them how their kids are doing, ask them how their family's doing. You're going to learn things about people just by saying hi and walking around. And that investment of time is not only going to help them, it's going to inspire you, because you're going to go back and go, wow, I didn't know that person was having that struggle. Or these guys are doing something real special in their family. You know, they've had the first generation of their family have gone to college. And you remember those things, and people are going to go, that leader really cares about me, because he or she's saying hi. They're asking me questions about my life, not about my work, but about my life. And I would say communicate consistently. Spend 10, 15, 20 minutes walking around and doing something different. And if you do that long enough and consistently enough, they'll start to understand that you care, and then they'll invite you in for a different type of conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say, if you're a calendar person, if you are a person that, is habitually looks at their calendar during the day to make sure they're on task, schedule that time into your day. Formally schedule it so that you see it, you go out and do it.
Yep, yep. All right, second question.
Next question. What has been your biggest success, Art, in bringing value to an employee?
I think for me it's two areas, and I mentioned this a little bit before. The radio business is an international business, and when I bring knowledge about a country to an employee here in Vista and help them understand why we do what we do, or why it takes a little bit longer to do something in a country, bring back the stories of the success of the equipment, like you mentioned before, people start to light up and go, I have a purpose here. We're doing something really special, and you know what? We're going to help people, and I'm going to latch onto that purpose and adding value. The other thing is in education, helping people who want to learn, give them the opportunity to do that either on company time, which I know is tough today, or give them support with educational support. Let people know that you have a great program.
Right.
One of the companies we were in last year, they put $30,000 a year towards their education program. And the people we talked to were kind of, yeah, we know we have that. But I went, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
$30,000 a year towards a degree? You guys are special. Yeah. So those are the things.
Can I share a story?
Yeah, please, Carol, please.
Let me share my own personal experience with Art, and that is, as we joked earlier and talked about how the two of us were part of the silver tsunami, Art really is the one who encouraged me and provided the opportunity for me to come from Datron, where I was in a materials management position, into the Servant Leadership Institute, where I'm developing products, doing writing, things I never thought I would do in my life. And he provided that transition, if you will, for me, and added tremendous value to my life through that. I'm doing now what I feel is really, I love coming through the door every day. Not that I didn't love working for Datron, but this is really extra special for me, and it's because Art wanted to add value to his employees.
Thanks, Carol.
So just buttered you up, but
thank you. That's a great. I love to hear those stories. That's what keeps me going.
Our next question is, how do I shift to this approach? I don't think I've been doing well in this area as a leader.
Yeah, it's consciously you need to set down in your mindset that I'm going to do something for others every day. Put it on your, if you're a taskless person, make it the #1 item on the top of your task list. Add value to, and if you want to put a name there, put a name there. Or if you want to put a group there, let's say you want to add value to the production team. Go walk around the production team, but consciously make that part of your day every day. And when people start seeing you change and get out of your office and do things, that's when you're going to make the biggest difference. Yeah.
So I hear you saying, set up a discipline.
Discipline, exactly.
Because if you set up that discipline and you follow through with that, then it will become part of your mindset.
It becomes part of your mindset, it becomes part of your daily practice, and it will just come natural. And you'll find yourself walking in the front door and going, I'm going to walk down here because I really get inspired by talking to people for the first 10, 15 minutes every day. Instead of rushing to my office, going through my calendar and what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to put my briefcase, I'm going to go walk over here for a while.
Yeah.
And you find yourself doing that and go, you know, this is pretty cool. So make that part of your, in whatever way it is. Like I said, if it's a task list, or if you've got a to-do list on your phone, a little reminder on your Fitbit, whatever it takes for you to remind, put a quarter in your shoe, do something that reminds you to do that, take that behavior and do something with it every day. Right. Yeah.
This is not that our other questions weren't good, but I love this next question. I am a new supervisor in a new industry. How can I build rapport with my new team that is more knowledgeable than I am?
I'm going to give you 2 questions. You ask all the time, and you ask them, help me understand, to learn the new business.
Right.
Help me understand and tell me more. And sit back and listen and take look at your investment in time and learning, and once they understand you want to learn from them, and that information flow starts, you're going to have a tough time keeping up with people. I guarantee you, you will have a tough time keeping up with people. And the other thing I would encourage you to remember is you don't need to know everything. Make sure that you have your best people working on those challenges or those goals that you have. You don't have to do everything. Our job is to utilize the knowledge we have in our organizations. So don't feel like you have to do everything once you've learned about the business. Let the team utilize their gifts, utilize their knowledge in letting your team be successful. It's not about you, it's about them. So this sounds exciting. You're a new supervisor in a new industry. Sit back and listen for 6 months and take notes and build a team rapport that you have a lot of fun. And you're going to be really surprised after 6 months what type of environment you have. So I'd love to hear your story when you in 6 months. Tell me, send the team here a note or something. Let us know how you're doing, because we'd love to hear those stories.
Yeah, that really, really does sound exciting and sounds like a great approach. I love your tips, Art, because, you know, asking them to give you knowledge right away puts yourself, I think, in a place as a leader where your employee, those that report to you, aren't going to say, oh, he's a know-it-all, he or she thinks they know everything, and right away it starts a bad environment.
Right, exactly.
You know, but if you come as the leader with asking questions, there's this sense of humility. And, you know, people really, really appreciate that. And they appreciate the chance to talk about, you know, what they do.
Yeah, exactly. You get people talking about what they do. They get excited about sharing the information. That is the best way for you to build rapport with people. And let them know that you really care. Because through those conversations, they're going to see your heart, and they're going to see that you're either a real leader or you're going down the fake path.
Right. And the other thing I think it can do is maybe pinpoint some problem areas in the group.
It can. It can. Yeah. You'll take away knowledge, and you'll think about it, and as you learn more, what doesn't sound like a problem today, you may come back to it in 6 months and go, you know, I think I need to turn this area of the group around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so our next question is, some leaders think this discipline can happen overnight. How do leaders keep the self-motivated going when they feel like enough time has passed and things should change?
Oh, this is a big challenge for leaders because we want everything to happen overnight. We want things to happen, you know, fast. And what you're going to come to realize is that the team and the individuals will move at their own speed. And our jobs as leaders, as a leader, especially in servant leadership, people are going to transform into servant leadership at different speeds. So you're going to have multiple managers who are going at different speeds and buying into servant leadership. And you have to learn how to manage that different speed.
Mm.
You know, my natural way, you know, going back to my old power days is I just want to tell people, listen, get on board or get out of the way, right? I mean, that's what I want to do. But that doesn't help with the transformation. Have some open conversations. If you feel someone's not on board with where you're going, sit down and have a conversation over a cup of coffee. Go somewhere outside your office in a comfortable spot. If you have a lunchroom or a patio, go have a conversation in a safe place for that person, not across from your desk.
Yeah.
And you can create, and here's some of the stories that you're not going to get that in your office, because people who walk in your office are going to go, this is not a safe environment. Go somewhere where it's safe.
Right.
And where you can have a conversation.
Puts you on more of an equal footing, right?
It does. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it does.
person to person.
The change will come. The change will come. So keep at it. When you give people a chance to change, like I said, some people will change almost right away. Others are going to drag their feet. And what they're looking for is they're looking to see if you're a real leader in that area or not. That's really what they're waiting for. And people will jump in after they realize that you are really serious about what you are and what you believe in as a leader, and they see it through your behaviors. Yeah.
Okay, this will be our final question. How do you motivate yourself every day in the beginning when you're starting out? Maybe you would share your story, your behaviors story with us, what you do every day.
Here's what I go through with the 9 behaviors every day, and this is how I make it real for me. First behavior is serve first. I get up in the morning. I fix coffee for Lori, my wife. She loves to have coffee made for her when she wakes up. I don't know why it excites her so much, but when she's excited, I'm excited.
Little things in life.
I just make the pot of coffee. I just make it. When I get in my car, I drive past a bus stop, and I know I want to build trust. Trust in our schools are suffering today. We need to build trust in the schools, so I want to build trust. I go to get on the freeway. I got to merge onto, you know, I-15 here. I have to use my values to merge onto the freeway with traffic and some people you don't really, you know, don't have the same values. I need to live my values. I get on my cell phone. I may talk to our folks back east. I need to listen to understand. Getting on that cell phone reminds me to listen to understand. Then I have some quiet time in the car after I get off the cell phone. I want to think about my thinking. That gives me time to think about my day. I drive in the parking lot at the building. I go to walk through the door, and the door represents adding value to me. I go upstairs. I meet with Lisa. If I don't get off, you know, somewhere else talking to people, I get up and Lisa shows me the schedule. I say, there's no way. She says, yes way. And she says, you're going to do this. And oh, by the way, this conversation you've been avoiding, you're going to do this today. I have to have courage. I have to show courage. Then I think about, who do I want to meet that day who's asked for more of my time? Where can I increase my influence? And then the last one is, I think about who's struggling with a relationship with me, and I'm with them. And really the key for us as servant leaders, we have to live our values with everyone, not just the people we like. So live your transformation with everyone. So for me, I make coffee, I get on the freeway, I get on the cell phone, I have quiet time on the cell phone, I walk through the front door, I go upstairs, talk to Lisa, courage. I have to understand where people want more of my time, where I can increase my influence, and I think about where I can live my transformation. That's the real journey for me that I go through every morning. That those gates I go through every day. That reminds me about the 9 behaviors. And it has changed my mindset in an unbelievable way. And I would encourage you, we can teach you how to do that. We can take you through it. We may do something like that at the conference, but I live it every day through where I go in the first hour of my day. And it makes it real for me. So motivation, listen to stories. Listen to people who are telling you stories. And don't say, hey, I got to sit for this 10 minutes. This guy's going to tell me another story. Change your attitude and go listen to the story, because there's a transformation story there that will hit you somewhere during the day or the week, and that's going to motivate you to keep going because you've made a difference in someone's life. And when you make a difference in someone's life, you're not going to have any problem getting motivated. And you do it once, and you want more, and then you want more, and you want more, and you just keep going. So keep going with that and motivate yourself each and every morning.
Well, thank you, listeners. Those were really great questions. I know I enjoyed the conversation. Before we sign off, we want to share with you our latest news on our upcoming Servant Leadership Conference. We're thrilled to announce that Ken Blanchard will be joining Art on stage to share his wisdom with us. Ken always talks straight and
I love Ken.
and adds tremendous value. So you don't want to miss this opportunity to hear him. And it's not too late to register for our Servant Leadership Conference in Coronado, California. That'll be March 6th, 7th, and 8th. We invite you to join our team along with our thought-provoking keynote speakers and workshop facilitators. And we do that first night on the 6th is a welcome reception, and then 2 full days of conference after that. All the information you need, including the link to the registration site, is on our website. And be on the lookout for a date and time when we will discuss our next of our servant leadership behaviors, which is demonstrate courage. We invite you to stay connected to us through social media. We'd love you to join the conversation. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll be able to view our video content, which we are actively working on, and it's growing. Art, any thoughts you'd like to leave us with as we close today's webinar?
Adding value is one of the enjoyable things leaders can do. And I was thinking about that last question. It's kind of like parents that have kids. We love them unconditionally. And we'll pour value into them, we'll add value to them, regardless of what they do.
Yeah.
And if I encourage you to take that mindset in how you love your kids unconditionally, take that into your workplace and say, I'm gonna love people unconditionally. I'm gonna put my time and effort into helping them get better, regardless of what they say or do, and don't get discouraged. When you have that light bulb go on, and you'll see it in their eyes, and you'll see it, their smile on their face, take that picture and keep it in your mind and say, this is what leadership is all about. So let's go add some value today.
Yeah.
All right?
Thanks so much, Art.
Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us today.
As we sign off, we always like to challenge you with a question. As a leader, when you leave the room, what is the wake you leave behind you? Is it one of frustration for those you influence, or do you consistently add value? Thanks again, and we hope you'll join us for our next webinar on Demonstrate Courage.